If you're like me a few years ago, you feel like you're stuck in this endless cycle, repeating the same patterns over and over and over again. This is despite you doing the inner work, digging deep, but there's an invisible force that almost feels like it's holding you back. A glass ceiling that's preventing you from reaching your highest potential. Neville Goddard's work, the famous metaphysician, has now had his work verified by quantum physicists using concepts they have come up with on their own. And we can unite these two worlds and recognize this is no longer some spiritual, out there, woo woo concept, but real mechanics of reality. You see, you're the controller of your reality, and we're going to go much deeper into this episode. So, with that being said, let's get right into it. Now, there's two specific quantum physicist theories that we're going to talk about here today that directly line up with how Neville Goddard talks about manifestation, the law of assumption, and that the feeling is the secret. The first here is this theory that's been passed around in the last couple years called the many worlds theory. Now, if you've heard about this, it's this idea that there's actually many versions of you, parallel realities with all available outcomes and probabilities already existing in some place out there. But it goes one step further. This many worlds theory states that every time you make a choice as a conscious creator, you make a choice, a decision, the entire universe of possibilities again splits in two, outlining all the possible directions, all the consequences and benefits of your actions in one reality or many other realities versus another group of realities that you had previously available to you. So as you're consistently making these choices through life, the endless possibilities of who you could become are splitting over and over and over again. In this way, you are literally the creator of worlds. You are the creator of outcomes and possibilities. Now, there's another theory here that we can combine with this, and it's this idea of superposition. This is something that quantum physicists have played with for a very long time, over a century now. When you observe something, it becomes available to you, it restructures itself. What you're looking at structures itself to be in line with what you believe and currently perceive. Now, this is sort of mind-blowing because it makes us realize that we as the observer are able to change the state of something based on what we believe about it, what we believe that is currently true about it, and the way that we feel about it. Now think of it like this. Let's say there's a coin toss, right? The coin toss, when you toss the coin when it's up in the air, it represents an endless amount of possibilities of what it could be. Now, when this coin finally lands, we talk about superposition, that moment that your hand is over the coin, it could be both a heads or a tails. It is only until you lift your hand off of the coin and you look down and observe at it does it actually become either heads or tails. And there's a more recent experiment that's been conducted by the Institute of Noetic Science, where they've done this coin flip theory over and over and over again, replicating it hundreds of times. I actually have a video earlier on in my channel where I did this experiment live to prove that when you have an intention, when it's something coming from your imagination, and you direct that intention of what you want the outcome to be, it actually influences the outcome of the coin. So you are not only an observer of your reality, but a conscious influencer of the outcomes of your reality. Now, how does Neville Goddard actually play into this? How does everything he's talking about from a metaphysics perspective come in line with this many worlds theory and in line with this idea of superposition, a particle that can be in multiple places at the same time, a thing that can be multiple probabilities at the same time until it is actually observed? Now, Neville Goddard talks about the feeling is the secret. This is the idea that your intention and imagination combined create outcomes in your life when aligned with the right words, thoughts, emotions, feelings. Now, Neville Goddard's idea also comes down to attention, because where your attention goes, energy flows. Sort of like that coin that I was talking about. And attention, there's three different forms of attention that you can use to great effect. There's positive attention, there's negative attention, and there's neutral attention. Positive attention is what Neville Goddard speaks about, is this idea that the feeling is the secret to embody the positive emotions of that desired version of you that's already out there, that already exists. You're tuning your frequency to the frequency of the version that already exists. Sort of like, in a way, changing channels on a TV, right? The channels represent many versions of you. The remote is literally you generating a certain frequency. And when that frequency is emanated, the channel changes to something else. Negative attention is oftentimes what many people get in this trap of doing, which I was caught in for a very long time. You see, if we had put our attention on the negative things happening around us, of what we don't have, of what we wish we had, of what we want, look at the control the media has over people today. The sort of news that's coming out time and again about war, inflation, this, that, all these negative things, despite being the very thing that people don't want, people fix their attention on it, and that only amplifies those things. Now, how do you neutralize this aspect of reality? How do you neutralize people having negative influence over you? How do you neutralize people having negative events having negative influence over you? It's this idea of practicing neutrality. And this is where you might want to start if you're very new to these concepts I'm sharing with you. Is this practicing emotional detachment, not getting attached to how you would feel with the outcome. Of course, the feeling is the secret. Feel as if you already have it. But if you have all old beliefs, old subconscious programming, it will still hold you back and prevent you from feeling and acting this way. Do you know what I mean? So when you actually practice detachment, which is sort of the first phase of this, you're removing all emotional attachment to what's going to happen. It's sort of this I don't give a fuck mode that you get into, where you're just moving and creating, moving faith towards the thing that you desire. When I lost my job in 2019 as a paramedic, I thought this was going to be a lifelong career for me. And I didn't understand how people could get mental health issues and PTSD. I thought I had it down on lock. I had it figured out. I was never going to suffer those things. And sure enough, around 2020, when that rolled around, I was experiencing those very same effects. I'd lost friends in the service to mental health issues. I couldn't understand how they couldn't get help or weren't able to deal with these things. And then here I was dealing with it. And I had to walk away from that line of work because I knew it would no longer serve me. Not knowing what's going to come next, I had to act in complete faith and sort of be emotionally detached from the outcomes of what was going to come next. And just faithfully accept what was going to happen while also having an imagination, a vision for the future that I desired. And slowly, time and again, I was able to sink deeper into this practice, eventually embodying the feelings, and still today embodying the feelings and emotions of feeling as if I already have the things that I had desired. So when you make a choice to move in a certain direction, realize you've just opened up a new set of possibilities. Hundreds, thousands, millions, infinite worlds that are now open for you to enter into. Make a conscious choice. And if you want to know where your roadblocks might be, 3 big challenges you will face along the way, I have another video up here as well that you can check out. And if you want to go deeper with me one-on-one personally, I offer something called a shift session where we work together one-on-one, and there's a link down below for that. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Until next time, peace.